All right, welcome everybody to the June 12th Fisp meeting. Roll call, everyone's present except Mr. McCall will be here in a little while. Jack Rowley was not coming, and Kate Ivers is not coming, correct? Yeah, okay. Approval of minutes, May 9th, 2018.
So moved. Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting with school committee regarding school facilities planning. You're on. How are you?
We're good. So we're here tonight to seek your guidance about how the school committee might proceed if they were to consider making substantial upgrades to the schools, not in the near future, but sometime in the future. What steps would you advise? What would this board need to see? You know, basically, how should we proceed to do this in a manner that would make sense for the town and would follow the rules that the town would like to see followed?
I'll say, I think if you do have, we should get like a subcommittee of maybe 2 members of, how many members are in your board?
5.
So we get 2 members, maybe 2 or 3 members from our board, get together, get some ideas, what we're thinking back and forth, then we can both bring them to the full boards and exchange ideas. I think that's a great place to start, because there's really no sense in discussing it with both committees in full till we know, have some ideas about what we're going to talk about.
Well, I think our big concern is, you know, the schools are at a point, you know, 40, 50 years old, they're either going to make some major improvements on them and big money going into them, or if we've got another plan strategically that long-term we want to take one and make it a new one, or one or the other, you know, what strategies we have. I think that's our biggest concern before we start investing a significant amount of money into it.
Well, I know, like, I like to see maybe a list of what your major issues are and what they need to, how to rectify it, what possibly could be done. I mean, is one school worse than the other? Is cafeteria or something like that? You know, something, whatever you guys think is a major issue first. Obviously, the big issues we need to take care of, and the ones that anything safety related, obviously, is the most important.
Rick or Beth, are we talking 5 years? Have you guys had that kind of discussion? Are we talking?
I think it's even further out than that. We're just starting this.
Okay, just curious.
We figure we just have the police station, then the senior center, we'll just put a new school on top, and just get it all done in one swing as well. No.
So
do you think it will fly in the town meeting?
Yeah, right. We wrote a 5-year strategic plan, which basically within those 5 years, all that we saw being accomplished was basically a decision about whether to move forward with a school building plan. So definitely not within the next 5 years. But one thing we thought we might be able to do in the first year, so that would be next year, would be to have somebody or ourselves conduct a study to study the issues, to figure out what are the issues that we're confronting with population, with demographic changes, with the facilities themselves, with the curriculum, with, you know, basically a whole look at how things are right now. And maybe that could be the start of what the committee that could be formed could look at, would be that document to just see if anything rises to the level of real need for the town.
Because I think sooner probably than later, you're going to need some sort of professional input, either an engineering study or there may be consultants in the field. And part of what this subcommittee might do is take a first look at the professionals who are doing this and get some sense about the direction you might go with it.
Thank you.
I know the one thing that we don't want to do is just put a study to make a study and put it on the shelf.
Right.
Because we've done that so many times in this town.
Right.
And they're still available if anybody wants to look at them. So I think it's important that it's something we could work on real closely.
Okay, good.
So structure-wise, how bad they are? Both elementary school and the high school needs?
The elementary school's in far worse shape than the middle high school. The middle high school is a newer building, structurally sound, more modern. just in better shape overall. The elementary school is a very old building, and it's got the kind of, chinks in the armor that old buildings get. It's leaky, we have problems with the heating system a lot of the time. It has had additions put onto it, so it's, can be awkward sometimes. We've done a lot with it, but there's only so long you can really keep children in a building like that.
Has the ESCO project helped you
did.
in the small school, in the elementary school?
I think it helped in both buildings, and the way that I'll say it helped, I mean, not that it was the ESCO project, but the tasks that they did, they really cleaned everything up and got those heating systems working as well as they possibly can work. So yes, and that has helped. It saved us money. We did some lighting projects with ESCO that have saved money. So yeah, I would say it was helpful. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think that was worth doing. Those things were worth doing.
But if you tear away the ceiling, like remember the situation in the library that time where the ceiling started to fall down and fall in. If you tear away, it's old wood. Yeah. It's old.
Yeah,
it's not, probably not up to code today with the metal girders that you need in buildings like this. It's old-fashioned wood, and that starts to rot, even when you don't know it's rotting. So there's things like that. And then the steam down below, we had those issues with way down in the heating system. Matt Colangelo could have told you because he went down there so many times, but the steam, it was heated by steam.
Yeah.
And they were leaking for years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, there's things like that wear on the building that over the years, and I think that particular building is more of a problem than the, everybody says, oh, what are you going to do with the high school? Everybody says, oh, what are you going to change the high school? The fact of the matter is it's the elementary school that probably needs more work than the high school, except for the roofing, but.
I think Tony wants to say something.
I apologize. Tony, I'm sorry.
I want to ask one question.
Pointed out a website that would be very good for you all to reference.
Tony did, of course, but what percentage of repair and a new building does the state cover?
It depends. That's not I could never speak to that
It's a
issue.
formula.
Right.
Formula with the town, number of students,
demographic.
everything.
Yes.
Yep, everything.
So we're required, and the selectmen have participated in this with us before, we're required to submit an upgraded plan. Every time we want to access state money, we keep a plan on file with the state that the school committee signs and the selectmen sign. And from those plans, they select the ones they want to fund, and they fund them at various rates. Obviously, a city with a lot of poverty and high needs is going to get a higher reimbursement
Like a grant,
rate.
it's like a grant.
It is, absolutely, and it's all based on demographics and the need. And it's impossible for me to say. What I can say is that that's the Mass School Building Association. Yes.
Yeah, I've seen a
And
website.
they're beginning a new group next, that's good. They're beginning a new group next year for superintendents to meet with them regularly so that they can help keep people up to date with how do you proceed, what will be your reimbursement, can we figure that out a little bit before we come to town and ask for money. That group hasn't begun meeting yet, but they're having a round table. It's supposed to meet 3 or 4 times a year beginning next year. So it would be a good group to be involved in, but I couldn't possibly say what the reimbursement rate would be.
I think the low is 50 and the high is 80.
So do you think the guarantee is 50?
Yeah, but you're in line with other schools.
So that year, depending on how many schools.
Well,
Guaranteed when you get there, and it's broken up into
Right.
different
You might not get it
segments
the
of
first
work.
year, you might not get it the 6th year.
Right.
Oh, I see.
And you're.
So you have to basically fund it yourself in hopes that it comes back?
No,
No, you'd never
You're
do
gonna
that.
know before you get it.
You'll wait in line for it, and they'll take the neediest schools.
So part of what you're
Sooner or
asking
later,
is
you'll become the neediest
process
school.
and the initial study.
Yeah.
If you go onto their Mass School Building Authority website that Chris just pointed to me, there's a section on there filing a statement of interest.
Yes.
Which I think we've done that in the past.
We
Yep.
have
Okay.
done it. So what I've been told about the statement of interest is that you file that when you're ready to apply, because it requires the authorization of the school committee
Yeah.
and the authorization of the selectmen. We did file a statement of interest a few years ago when we got the windows paid for at Major
Okay.
Edwards. It's the same process. So we've used, yeah.
So that was
Yeah, we've used the
accelerated
process.
green repair.
Exactly, that was
Yeah,
green
okay,
repair.
good.
You didn't have to wait long in line for those. They
Right.
were
What
readily available.
percentage did we get for that?
It was a large percentage. That might have been 80. It was a very high percentage. It was for green project improvements, so it was
Green
probably
repair.
Yeah, Ron
funded
Harps
by
did that
somebody
project.
else in part too.
I did that project, yeah.
Yeah, so we've used that process before, but we wouldn't file a statement of interest on this project until we were ready to proceed, because you have to lay out a little bit of what the scope of the work you're going to do is, and we don't even know what that would be at this
But
point.
I thought in going through that,
Yes.
you know, it
Yeah.
would get you, it prompts you to kind of
Yeah.
think through and ask some of those questions of a grander scale. Can we consolidate? Can we, you know, get K to 7
Yes.
instead of K to 5, or, you know?
This analysis that we were talking about will actually give us advice on that. You
Yeah.
know, they'll actually advise you on, you know, your structure of your schools. Is this the best way to do it
Right.
that we have?
So then the next piece to that would be to really go out and do a feasibility study with an architect and an educational planner to look at that, but you're gonna be spending a lot of money to do that. You'd rather get the statement of interest prepared, because the MSBA will fund the feasibility study, and they'll tell you, look at combining all 3 schools, what's a new high school look like? And typically, when they're funding those feasibility studies in the initial phase, long before you get 4 years down the road, they're gonna give you somewhere between $300,000 and $800,000 towards those studies. I mean, they really give a lot of money to put those school district feasibility studies together.
So what would the the first study, what would it be?
It would be a best use of educational facilities studies, so it would be looking at what are
That's
the...
not what, Tony, you're
No.
talking about. That would be the
That
next
comes
stage.
later.
I'm talking about having somebody look at what the demographic projections are for the town. What do we have currently in place? How well does it meet our curriculum needs? How well does it meet the needs of the town in general? What condition are the buildings in? And, you know, how feasible it is to renovate them as opposed to new construction, things like that.
So in that case, I
You would be
see,
doing that at a preliminary level
Yes.
because the feasibility study will do that in greater depth.
That's right. And I think that the step between that would be some kind of an agreement between the Board of Selectmen and the school committee that it would be good to keep proceeding with this.
How about, like, the cost of that? Will we need to get funds somehow?
The
or
first
is
study?
that first study, or is
We
that something?
budgeted for it as
you
part of our
budgeted for-
strategic planning, yes,
For
next
this-
year.
Next year's
Yeah.
budget.
So would that include, I think the most important thing is the building condition itself,
Yes.
only because for the next 3 or 4 years, we know we're not going anywhere for the next 3 or 4 years, or 5 years, so we have to make sure the building is safe
Yeah,
and healthy.
yes.
That would be probably part of the original study, the first study.
Yeah, they definitely look at whether it's... the
But with that
condition.
said, though, as of right now, we have no issues with safety.
No,
or-
we have no issues
no.
with
or
safety.
we've had some issues with some mold and things like that. That's been fixed.
No
down at
mold
the-
that I know of.
Down at the elementary school, we took some ceilings down one time. I don't know what that was for.
The
few years ago.
ceiling started to fall down.
That fell-
because
that-
It didn't
that had
have...
mo-
All of these, there's no safety issues, there's
No,
no.
no, not all.
We did some major maintenance back, I would say 4 to 5 years ago with the roof,
Right.
where we had the entire library area replaced.
Yeah.
Well, the glass windows all.
At the
high school.
At the
Yes,
high
the
school,
high
yeah,
school.
yeah, at the high school.
Yeah.
So we did invest, that must have been a couple $100,000. And then we were concerned about the roof, the rubber roof having issues, but we were able to resolve that without any major money yet at this point. But that, you know, that roof is old too.
So you'll get the study,
Yeah.
and then you'll come back to us, and we'll set up a committee between you guys, us, and...
I mean,
we're gonna go out for an architectural study,
after
architectural
this
engineering.
first- well, first we
Who's
have
gonna
to
do
meet
the
and
first
decide.
study?
Well, that's, I don't know, how
Well,
you.
there are
you know,
several
advertise.
vendors that could do that, and we'll choose one that's, you know...
And then I would suggest that you folks meet first, look it over,
Okay.
and then come up with some ideas before I think some of us can be involved in it.
Yeah, I would think that we do the study with the school committee and do that study that she's talking about as part of the budget. Come
Come
back,
up with a list of ideas.
come back with that study to you, Fisp or Selectmen, I'm not sure which would be the appropriate place. Come back with that study and lay it out and see, this is what the ideas are, this is a suggestion. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
Now, I know this is always a question, is there ever any look at about merging with another town? I know there's no towns left.
I think Rick's the
I know
best one to
Rick
speak
killed
to
it,
that, yeah.
all the possibilities of that over
How
the
many
years.
times did we go
Yeah, I
through
should
that?
know. There too.
Regionalization committee,
Yeah.
Well, I know,
this, you get more money if you're doing that,
I think Boylston, I
percentage-wise.
think, was our best fit, and I believe that.
They wouldn't let us,
Boylston-
they wouldn't let us in.
My understanding is Boylston might have had more interest, but I don't know, we can talk about that, but I mean, whatever, so that's really, we don't have many choices. Just to I'm letting the public know, we don't have a lot of choices
Right.
because it's either Boylston, Berlin,
Right.
or Wachusett, right?
Right.
Who else around us is not,
The
or is in another?
Clinton is not in any arrangement with anybody. That's the only
That's it, close.
district that touches
All the
us.
others are pretty much
All of the others
Wachusett,
have a
and
region,
then Boylston, Berlin.
yeah.
And did we not reach out to Wachusett and
I believe-
Boylston
I-
years ago?
Before I
Rick?
came on board, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought we had reached out to,
Well, what happened was the selectmen created a regionalization committee. So it wasn't just the school committee, and it was a group,
yeah.
and it was regionalization discussion. And then we went and did that, and that was when we went to Tohoto with the idea of, before you build this brand-new school,
How crazy.
let's talk, and the superintendent was so far along at the time that he kind of blocked it and said, we don't want interest in you at this time because we're so far along that we want to just get this going and get it through. Because they were dealing with Berlin at the time and it was a little bit complicated. So that's what happened with that regionalization committee. They also went to Wachusett and they basically had no
Wachusett
interest.
would not take us if we,
They had no interest.
no interest.
Zero.
At least at that time. I remember those conversations.
But how many years ago are we talking about that?
7.
Oh, that's a good 7 years.
So we don't know what Wachusett's like today.
Yeah,
They could have,
I think they're busting at the seams.
you think they're still?
I think they are,
Yeah.
yeah.
They just stopped taking, a few years ago, they stopped taking students for school choice at the high school level because they were full.
What percentage you think, I don't know if you know this answer, statewide is not in the regional school?
I should know that.
I
I
mean,
think it's
is it-
about
I mean,
half. I think it's
is
half
it
and
like
half, yeah.
50%?
Oh, yeah, it's gotta be, yeah. Maybe even a little bit more.
There's a lot of little schools way out in the middle of nowhere
Yeah,
that,
well, sometimes those are like superintendency unions, they have one superintendent for multiple districts. But I've seen the
Well,
list
all the
enough
big cities
times.
obviously
All the
don't
big
utilize,
cities, right.
so you
I
knock
think it's
them
about
down.
half and half, and maybe even a little bit more, maybe- I'd say half and half, yeah.
So you get back to us, we'll meet, let us
Yes.
know as soon as you're ready and we'll work
Okay,
forward.
so I'm just gonna review, just so I know. So we're gonna conduct some kind of a study to get some kind of an overview, a first picture of this. And then we're obviously going to continue to work with the MSBA on any needs that they have. And then we will come back to, is it the selectmen or the Fisp board? Which should we come to with the school committee's first?
I would
glance
think,
at
yeah,
this.
go to Fisp first, and then if we want to recommend them to the select board, we can do that.
Very good,
All right?
that's good.
And you
Thank
may
you, sir.
want to offer some guidance in how to go about hiring architects and engineers.
Yeah, we're not.
There are regulations.
I think Anita can help you with
Yeah.
that.
And I don't think we're there yet. That's not the work we plan to do in the short term.
So this, you're saying even the initial study?
Well, I'm saying if
The initial study would be
she's saying we're going to
engineer,
find
yeah.
engineers to look at the
Are
building.
you
Not
saying-
engineers.
You're saying
I'm
there's a-
saying a consultant, an educational consultant, to look at the best use of educational facilities first, before any kind of a decision about whether to even proceed with our, building
Is it to
issues.
repair or is it to build a new building?
Well, we don't know that
That's the
yet.
question.
That's the
Right.
question we gotta figure out.
So with that initial study, I know Mr. Hadley asked, will they come in and tell you what the buildings, will they have the expertise to tell you? if
They
the-
will.
What the shape it's in,
Yes.
Okay, they will.
Yes, or at least to do a comparison of, for educational uses, what is the condition of these buildings for modern educational uses?
Not for structural, not for
No,
code, not
no.
for
Just for function.
building envelope,
function.
any of that.
Best use of
Okay.
educational
Okay,
facilities
so
for
not
educational
boilers,
purposes.
systems,
No.
nothing like that.
So are you not planning on doing that as part of your study?
We would do the first glance at it first, just to see if,
Where you are?
yes, because that might help us determine whether you're looking at just renovations, or whether you're looking at, this really isn't meeting our needs as a community anymore, just to answer some of those first questions.
Okay.
And also, I think, importantly, here, I think, to look at the demographics. What are the projected demographics for this area? What size will the school district be in 10 and 20 years? It has significantly changed in the past 10 years. What will happen going forward? I think those are
It
important
has steadily
questions.
been, the kindergarten has steadily been lower and lower, as it turning now.
We have had some turns. We've had some up and down, some upward and downward movement, but I think we need to have somebody look at that. They use databases, state birth rate databases, and specific to your town databases to figure out what's going on with properties, what's going on with family sizes.
It's funny, I guess it would be, the one we use for the senior center would probably answer a lot of these questions.
Yeah, maybe,
Because
yes,
they're
that's
saying
probably
in the
true.
Next 10 or 20 years, how many, there's gonna be more seniors than there are gonna be.
Yeah, so let's see what this yields. That'll be interesting.
There was a statewide study that indicated what every town was expected to do in 10 years, up or down.
With
I mean-
the school
Yeah.
population.
Well, just overall population, total
Yeah,
population.
and they redid the overall build-out projections for each community as well.
And really, our towns, there's not a lot
No
of
build-out,
room for
right.
more and more building.
Right,
More.
And Beth, does this look at both schools?
yes.
Okay.
The whole
But right
district.
now, you're thinking the elementary school, well, it is
Well,
the
I'm just-
older
I was asked to make a
school.
comment
Yeah,
about the
no,
condition
that's
of the
fine.
buildings. I mean, I think just the condition.
Right, and if you look at
high
the
school is
age,
Definitely a more adequate building.
how long ago did we add on to, do you remember the schools?
That onto where?
The elementary and then the high school?
Elementary, I can't recall when they did that.
We did that the same, we did the elementary first, and then we went to the high school, I believe.
Many years ago.
Well, you added the three-story piece of it there? Is that what you did?
For the elementary.
No, they added the one-story, the T-wing.
Oh, the T-wing,
with the
okay.
first
Oh,
grade
yes, yes,
kindergartens in
okay.
it. That's pretty old now.
Right, well, that's what
Yeah.
that's gotta be.
Yeah, I think it might have been the 80s,
I'm thinking
70s or 80s.
maybe,
Really, the
mid-
80s, so.
no, my kids were there, thank you. Maybe mid to late 80s,
Okay.
but also looking at the two buildings, the elementary school is older,
Yeah.
physically building than, in the original part, than the high school.
It is.
Yeah.
Tony, would you suggest that initial study, would it be only a little more money to add in more detail?
It depends on how much detail you want.
So
One
you're
thing
talking
that
about the
you would
buil-
do
you're
for the
talking about the building
building,
side?
Yeah.
the
Yes.
building side, you would
Yeah,
go
you
out
know,
for an
architect.
engineering.
It would be a lot more.
Facility condition assessment. And
Right.
they would go through
Everything.
both buildings, however many there are, brick, masonry,
Mechanical,
envelope,
electricals. yeah.
mechanical systems, handicap codes, sprinkler.
So that would add a lot to
Because if
the
you
study.
touch them,
they
you want to
would-
bring the whole thing up to code.
Depending upon how large are the buildings and, the overall.
So it would cost a
budget
lot
overall.
more than this initial
We
study.
didn't budget for that.
Well, I think
And
that's,
that's part of what the
They
MSB
might pay for.
pays for
Right.
in their feasibility
So after
study.
this initial, we
Right.
yeah.
But you're looking for a first blush at it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds expensive.
And a lot of communities will pay for those short studies of the building to attach to the
Statement of interest.
statement of interest, so that they not only have the demographic piece, but they have an architect that's gone through the building, writes his letter, puts a stamp on it, says, things not compliant, you need code upgrades, your boilers are old, you can't get parts for it, the roof's leaking, it's filled with asbestos, it's got old floor tiles. That way there, when MSBA sees the whole
Are you
package.
talking about our school?
Yeah.
Well, everything
Talking
you just-
about every one of them in
I
the
just-
state.
This all sounds familiar.
Yeah, he can write the letter without even visiting, It's out of a can, but.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
very much. Appreciate your time tonight. Thanks very much. Thank you.
All right, Tony, you're up.
So much fun.
All right,
Senior Center.
everybody's got their report,
Lovely color.
and I've got extras that I will give to planning board tomorrow night. Executive summary, I'll just hit the highlights. Owner architect is running along fine, doing a great job. The last bulleted item says we are prepared to do interior color selections with the subcommittee on June 21st. That is next Thursday. Lisa will be back. We'll do it as part of the Thursday meeting, unless you guys decide otherwise. Planning Board, next section. I added again, the last item down there, which talks about the suspect hazardous materials that we discovered on site last Thursday. It's basically a petroleum smelling soil that was discovered probably in the area of the old boiler room. What we did after that was contacted 3 licensed site professionals who are licensed to deal with DEP and deal with the soil in a manner consistent with the DEP regulations. We picked the one that was most appropriately available on Friday morning, most effectively available on Friday morning. They came out, they did the removal, they monitored the removal. They took out approximately 38 yards of material, got down to where they were testing it, and it's clean with the devices they have that monitor it. It was put on plastic sheeting, covered with plastic sheeting, so it's in a knife-safe, secure pile, not leaching anywhere. Samples went off to the lab Friday afternoon, and those results are due back on Monday of next week. From that, based on how heavy the petroleum is or what other contaminants are in it, will determine A, you can put it back on site, encapsulate it under the parking lot, encapsulate it in a planting bed somewhere, just keep it on site. You own it now, so you own it forever anyways. If its levels are higher where it needs to be disposed of, then the LSP will take those characterizations and find a disposal site as close as possible that we'll truck it off to. I.e., if it's got petroleum in it, a lot of times it gets sent off to an asphalt batching plant. They turn it around, process it into asphalt, and it goes back in your parking lot anyways.
So they pay us for it?
No.
Not so much.
Not so much.
Yeah.
38 yards is not bad.
Ka-ching.
38 yards
No,
is nothing.
not
It's
bad.
really barely at the reportable limit, which is 20 yards. The hole that was dug was basically in the area of the water line and fire line coming through the foundation of the building. So it was important as we had it excavated. We had pipe to go in the ground. We had piping inspection scheduled for Friday. So we got all the material out. It didn't slow anything down. We got the pipe in the ground. The water department was able to inspect the water pipe, which they needed to do before we backfilled. They backfilled the whole thing. You've got a little pile
Do
of
they
it
think
off
they,
to the
do they
side.
think they found the width, the extent of the width?
They went to
we
the
have-
limits that the PID
Okay.
was picking
Because
up.
we have more utilities in that area.
Yeah.
So, but if they captured it.
Right
great.
now, we think we've gone out to the clean limits
Mhm.
in the area.
And there was a tiny bit found inside the foundation.
Yeah, they actually think that was smell that was blowing over. or
Residue?
Just, yeah, residue. Because there was no visible
No.
change in the liquidity of it. It's not like it was damp or wet. It wasn't a change of material, like somebody dumped something in there, so.
You just had to put your nose in the soil like this to smell it, so.
Second page of the executive report has our schedule update in it. So the items that were not bold italics were in there from last month's report, telling you what was going to happen. The bold is just the update of those items. So we still probably remain about 3 weeks behind on the building schedule, but overall, we don't have any indication that we're not going to make January substantial completion. Budget update, typical budget is there. We do have some pending change orders that you'll see further in the report. Currently, total anticipated positive variance is $342,200. That if the project were to end today, buy everything that's in the change log, that's what we have available. And that's really the end of my report. I know you're going to go over invoices, digging through. You do have a budget report in here. And the budget report reflects the invoices that you have tonight. I've signed and input them all, signed the originals, and gave those to Anita moments ago. and highlight for you at the bottom of that page, $342,000 you have in a positive variance.
That's it?
I'm all set.
John?
Exactly what Tony said. We've processed about 160 submittals so far. I think there's been like 16 or 17 RFIs. We've answered them all except for one. We're still waiting for an answer from a utility company on that. Obviously, as far as projecting costs, the largest costs we foresee coming down, it will be on soils and rock. And we're handling PCOs right now on that, and we're going to have a meeting with the contractor and try to come to a conclusion on his cost. We've had some miscellaneous proposal requests. One, or actually a couple of them will end up being credits. Right now, we have a $5,000 credit for the fire pump house. Basically, to turn it 90 degrees and push it back 4 feet saved us $5,000, so we'll take that.
Can we push it back 8 feet and save 10?
No. But
It'll be in the pool room.
You'd have to give up a pool table.
so we're continuing to look for credits to offset any kind of ads and everything. And as I said, we have colors to go through, and that's what we're working on.
One thing that I did forget to mention is we have, John put together the sketches on the new utility lines, gas and water as dictated by the utilities. Those have been issued to planning board. We're on the agenda for tomorrow night, and I will be going to the planning board to answer any questions they have on our new utility locations or proposed utility locations.
What line did, there's something you had to change, you had ledge, what was that for?
That was
for
drainage, going out from the parking lot to the drainage basin.
So if we have to relocate that drain line, we may end up having to resubmit that to planning board.
On Thursday, we're going to be doing do a half day of test holes to find out the extent of that very hard rock that would be expensive to hammer out. I think we initially said it was cost about $1,200. Now it looks like it's going to cost $2,000 because the rates from the contractor are higher than anticipated. So that work will go on Thursday morning. I also have, obviously there's been some discussion on billiards tables. Are we going to discuss that tonight or no? Mm-hmm. Okay, then I'll hold off on that. All set.
Do you anticipate the rock or the ledge to be a real issue, but we'll definitely know Thursday when you do the drilling?
No, Thursday we're just trying to determine whether or not, how much of it is there, and if there's an alternate path to avoid it.
Okay.
If there's no alternate path to avoid it, we'll be going through it, which will be expensive. Or, there is enough money in the contingency that it shouldn't worry anybody that it will drain the contingency. But we like to avoid any change costs. So we're trying to do that.
What was the other thing? I didn't hear what you said. What was the other thing? You said we're going to talk about it.
Billiard table room.
Yeah, the billiard table.
So, why don't we talk about that now?
Okay.
That's okay?
So I'm not sure, I've only heard that, look, I've been given 2 sketches of what is possible. I've actually taken those and hardlined them into CAD drawings, so if anybody wanted to see those, and I don't think Bob wants to see them, but I'll show them to him anyway.
So what's the discussion? I guess I missed.
Why don't you explain, John?
Oh, I'm not sure I understand. All I got from Lisa is they would like to look at a different arrangement of the billiards tables and the game tables. So someone drew this, which is about turning it about 90 degrees. And then today, this one came in, which was putting the tables on this side. Presumably the gaming tables would be here, sorry. And this is all being discussed within the senior center and COA. And we've just been provided 2 sketches, so.
When you say that came in today, from who?
This came in from Lisa, you were copied on it.
So, and this affects us because of the lighting.
Okay.
It's not a big deal.
Right.
The lights, there's 2 lights that are going over the pool tables, and we just want to make sure that, once this is decided upon, they're not going to put the ceilings in tomorrow, that we put the lights in the right place.
So let me ask you a question. I would like Lisa here to explain her input about this. Is that gonna affect it when she comes?
No. You have plenty of time.
Next week.
Let's put this off, if everybody's okay with it.
Yeah, I have no problem, but who is they?
I don't know who's driving this. Someone,
Do
Who
you-
decided to change the room around?
do you know, Bob?
Yes, Lisa. And
Okay.
I believe what happened was Lisa sent you a plan, Tony?
Yes.
This
And
is the
that
first one.
was,
That's the first one.
I'm not sure, I've lost track of which one was which. Lisa and I did have a chance to talk to you today. And the basic need for the pool, for 2 pool tables is a 19 by 26 clear area. It's as simple as that. One of the options that Lisa and I discussed today, and we never really got to a head on this, would be something that would look like this. This would be where the pool tables would be located, the chairs for the pool table, these 2 card tables, and a 5-foot circular table. I can give you, I will do that looking.
What's your initial? Neither of these are yours.
No, in the initial, the 2 tables were here, and the game tables were here.
Yeah, it seems, it's.
Sort of
both
like the
these
opposite,
seem-
sort of like the opposite of this.
Both of these seem impossible. These, well, this will be the main walking area, and you'll walk into people playing pool. This will be the main walking area, and you'll walk into people playing pool. I think we pay you to tell us the best place to put these. I mean, to change them now.
Yeah, I kind of like the original, so.
Well, I mean, it seems like the one that's,
Again,
Thank you, Bob.
if it's not in the, some kind of certain timeline at all,
No,
I
we're
would
down
like
the
to
road.
have a discussion with Lisa's here.
Because I think it's important to consider that, I think this Lisa's revamp is based on an inventory of the needs of the other users of the room.
Right.
And so we want to be sure that when and if we make a decision, Lisa's involved because she's the one that's taking that inventory.
well, I mean, it's just, looking at that, it's just how many people can you put in that room? It's
Well,
one
Well, the
room.
idea always was you wouldn't be doing
In that-
both at the same time.
In that layout, it's very difficult to get a 5-foot round table. In-
Which
in-
layout? This one?
In any of these layouts. Yeah, and,
This one?
yeah, in any of them, to get a 5-foot round table and a reasonable number of smaller tables.
And there's obviously a reason she wants a 5-foot round table, so let's
Sure.
wait till she comes back so she can explain.
Yep, that's perfect sense.
Is that all right,
In a
everybody?
conversation with her today, I just passed this on, and that is that a 4-foot table would probably be acceptable. That was a conversation I had with her, but I'll let her speak for herself.
We'll talk to the chief.
Yeah.
All right.
If you can, share those drawings with Lisa. when you-
Yeah. I thought I was playing paper dolls.
Site work status.
Site work is ongoing. We continue with utilities after tomorrow's meeting. Drainage is ongoing. We're moving the gas line off of the Horseshoe Drive connection and bringing it in through the ball field. The utility lines, the town has set the utility pole, and the trenches are dug and conduits in place from the pole into the site up to the building. Verizon, I did get your email, Anita, and working with Karen Paray, we've got the work order in. Verizon's been out and looked at it. Cable TV told me they would go by today, but I didn't see them at all. Their concern is not so much where or the conduit, which is our first concern, how big of a conduit do you need? Theirs is more pertaining to signal strength at the length that the building is from wherever their nearest repeater or signal booster is. They may need to actually add more equipment later, because you're not gonna get a signal
Might have to
strength.
put a booster in the building.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
All right. Anybody else have anything? Want you, John? No. All right. Thank you, guys.
Actually, I came in late here. Just looking at the financials, anticipated
it's all you
variance.
look at, isn't it?
Well, I don't have time to read the rest, so numbers are quick.
Yes.
Anticipated variance at 342. And we're originally talking 700K.
411.
This is anticipated variance. We were originally I mean, these are broad scoping numbers, but we're talking trying to cut $1 million off the top, and it was 700K. Is 342 what we're actually projecting
That's
right
what
now?
your projected savings is today.
So
Today.
where did we, somewhere in there, we lost like 350K. I'm just curious whether.
No, we were at 6.5 originally, then went down to 4.7, 5.7.
Right, because the million you were trying to save was from a much higher number.
6.5.
Okay.
Am I right?
Right,
Yeah, that is correct.
right. The initial,
Yeah.
the initial programming budget was 6
That's
something.
what-
Yeah, the start of this one.
And you were
was
trying to
already
get a
reduced.
million off.
We went to town meeting at 6.5 originally for the first 1.1.
Right.
And then we came at 5.7 for this project. And then we got
Right.
342.
So now we reset that, so you kind of vacuumed 400,000 away. And now you've got 342.
I like vacuums.
That
But it
kind of
also
vacuum.
included building up the contingency to a
Right.
Yes.
high level,
Yeah,
which is still there.
right.
Oh,
Thank you.
All set? Anything else? All right. Thank you, guys. Now we're gonna go to police station. Additional AV vendor quote for end user presentation connection.
I didn't bother to include it in the packet, but we have a new proposal from Valley Communications. It's the firm that did some of those AV connections in the training room, meeting room. And this is additional work that it sounds like it's meant to ease connection to the computers for PowerPoint, Excel, PDF documents to be shown on the projector using various laptops. The value of this work is $1,666.21. This was sent to me about 3 weeks ago
Yeah.
by the police chief, saying that there had been discussion amongst the subcommittee members that he should put this forward to get this done, to complete all the AV work. But when I asked John about it, John didn't recall this being discussed. So we figured we should put this before Fisp to decide, is this something that you feel Fisp should be paying for? Or is this something that if the police department wants these final things, that should they do it within their budget?
Within their budget.
I was going to just offer an explanation of what the connections are, but.
It would be good to understand what it is we're talking about.
That's a,
Well, no, if no is no, then no.
sorry.
So the TVs that are on the wall, when we originally were working with Lantel, Karen Perret, and the police department, and going through how people would put images or video
Presentation.
content on the TVs, it was thought that you would come with your zip drive, plug it into the computer. Because the whole building was networked, it would be on the network. You could not only project it on the monitors, but if a sergeant were sitting in his office somewhere, you know, once it's on the network, everybody can see it. There was some discussion over the cost of equipment to actually make that happen, which did not get built into the system. There was a secondary conversation of security of your police network, to just have anybody come in with a zip drive. Yes, they plug in and hopefully it doesn't have a virus on it, but if I plug in and I'm downloading my PowerPoint presentation and there's some worm-type virus in there, it's now going to go through the entire network. So the way to do it without having to go through the network is to install 2 cables to one separated junction where they can connect to and still put their images up on the TV without being connected to the full police network of servers.
So it needs its own CPU processor and
Right.
hard drive.
Yeah, how much is left in that, do you know?
In the police budget?
No, yeah, no,
Last time I talked to the accountant, it was, I think there was roughly 35,000 left. And that assumes some of the things like the fence, which is one of the invoices that we have to approve tonight.
that was including the fence,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tony, can I ask you? So they do have networks there, right?
They have a full
Internet.
network.
So if I bring in my computer,
Yeah.
if I have a Chromecast kind of a thing, I can put it on the monitor, right?
I don't think it-
Chromecast.
I don't think it's set up.
I don't know.
I don't think it's set up like that. He's saying you have to plug it in.
No, you don't have,
Plug the,
like our,
or you plug it,
like this kind of thing.
it's not, I don't think it's set up
Yeah,
like that.
if you have a video out on your laptop.
You can plug into it.
Yeah,
Right, but you can only plug in a one TV.
Not
This
throughout the
cable,
building.
right now, if you go there,
no, but
there's a cable and two of them running up the wall, and you have to, twin those together with some type of pigtail and connect it to your computer. This will basically wire in the walls
Which it's already
to a
done.
jack that you could then walk in with your computer and a video jack and go to that jack and have your computer go up on the two TVs versus going up to the projector and coming out on the screen. So you've got two different things. Do you want your images on TV, which is a different quality, or the projector
Which
to
is
the
bigger
screen?
and not as good.
Right.
Shouldn't be a different quality.
Well, you're
No.
gonna get a different
Projectors,
grain
obviously, that's gonna look a lot
of
better
screen versus
than a
TV.
screen.
you know what?
Projectors now are 1080p, it should be the same. It may look a little different, but it's the same signal.
And how often is something like this going to be used?
Yeah, but we had trouble, right, when we put that senior center, the project, PowerPoint project. So we were not able to do it, right?
We use
No,
them-
we-
we use them-
Presentations on the
You did the
TV.
we use them on the screen, on the
On the
TVs,
TVs.
not on the screen.
Yeah.
I mean, Dennis asked this to be part of the,
His preference is that it would be something to be funded with remaining balance in the project account.
I think it's something that's part of the project that was missed.
Yeah.
It's something that's needed. The wires are behind the wall now from what we noticed last time we were there. All those wires that were hanging. That was done in another part, I think, right, John?
yeah, they fixed it.
They fixed that already.
Okay.
That was so.
All right, so you want to make a motion?
Does, one more question, does right now, when I plug in a computer to put it onto the screens, whatever that image is that available to the entirety of the police network, or is it just going to the screens right now? Without this?
Okay.
Right now, it's just going to the screens, because you're not connecting to their network servers.
Usually there's an air gap for security.
Good.
As a question, we've been going at the video connections for what, 3 months now, and they keep seeming to morph. Is this the end of the rainbow? Do we
He
know
told me
if
it
there's
was.
anything else?
He said this was the last thing.
I can't say that I'm all that optimistic that every possible security breach has been taken into account and built-in protection in this system. Seems to me it's too haphazard, it's not one overall design, keep coming in for changes.
If I understand what's been described, it's no longer a network connection. It's a video connection.
Right.
So there's no
But if it's a
network
video
security.
connection that has any possibility of contaminating the rest of the system,
No, because.
It's not a video signal.
all right.
All right, so we're good, make one.
I don't know, what was it, how much was it again?
$1,666.21.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Can we make sure it makes it into the minutes that the chief has said this will be the last video presentation
Yes.
related request?
It says, John Hadley says the chief says that it's the last.
All right,
Okay, thank you.
all right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. What else do we have here? Pending closeout items, the berm.
The damaged Cape Cod berm. The contractor has looked at it. He went back out because we had him out last week to do some reseeding, pick up some hay bales and everything. I have not heard back from him, but I will let you know as soon as I hear back.
Is that the one by the flagpole that we're
Yep.
talking about?
You're talking about when you say berm, you're talking about
The
the curb?
berm? Yeah, the
It's
curb.
an asphalt berm, not one
Asphalt
of the
berm.
I'm like, berm, what is it?
Berm.
I call it a
Yeah.
curb.
Curb.
It's actually a Cape Cod berm.
Okay. Yeah.
See, now you know.
It looks like a triangle piece of like a leg to some piece of equipment was put down on it and smashed it.
Right by the flagpole, though, right?
Right.
So close?
Just past the flagpole.
Right, yeah.
It
around-
looks to me like a tire,
Yeah, that's what.
Like a tire?
like
Are
a tire
we-
turned on it when it was fresh.
I don't know that we're talking about the same spot then. The flagpole's here, there's the curbing comes around here, here's the flagpole, I'm talking about like right here.
Yep.
Oh, and
Yep.
towards the building side?
Yeah, like by the front door of the building.
Yeah.
If this is the front door of the building, it's like right here.
Well, we have pictures
Okay.
around the time of the punch list, and unfortunately, if it occurred after that, it would be town's issue, because it would have been
This is something that I pointed out
way early?
way early.
Okay.
I mean, I know, I don't know if I did it in an email to you, Tony,
Yep.
I told you verbally.
Yep,
Wasn't that at the,
When you say early,
Grand
is this
opening?
prior
Yeah.
to September?
you showed that?
Yes,
it was at the opening.
It was at the grand opening.
I think it might have been before the grand opening.
Okay.
Alright. So,
RAC is going to do what?
Well, the site
I
contract.
asked the contractor to look at it and see if he could repair it when he was there, and he looked at it. I have not heard back from him. I know he was there because he fixed they did replanting, and they picked up the hay bales and the silt fence and the erosion control wattles, as they're called, from the back parking lot,
Was this RSU or Conley?
Conley.
Conley was the site contractor.
Right.
And they planted grass in that area that was all
They
there.
replanted the back
The
along
side.
the butters
Okay.
towards
That
the
was all
patio
That was
area.
all just dirt?
Yep.
That's all been.
Yep, and then at the police parking near the impound, right after or right around opening, we re-swaled that area to create some drainage in there, and that's why they had those wattles, and reseeded that and picked up the wattles and the spikes, or stakes, whichever you prefer.
so we'll leave the ground as an open item until
Yes.
we go somewhere.
What's going on with this elevator? Is it fixed now, or is it?
Yes, haven't had any issues with it.
But there were 3 CPU or motherboards replaced?
Yep.
And
They were gonna extend the warranty?
We asked them about that.
They
They-
replaced it, and
They can't, they do not have a contractual responsibility to do that. That's the warranty.
Yes,
there-
but we were gonna ask if they would.
is there a lemon law type thing where they installed this and we've needed 3 replacements? You buy a car and the same thing breaks 3 times, you say, take your car back.
yeah, no, there's no lemon law for an elevator.
No,
They're repairing it under service.
We did ask them to extend the warranty on that.
We did.
you-
Well, I don't know if we asked. I know that I checked the contract to find out whether or not we legally were owed that.
Can we send them a letter and ask them to do that?
Sure.
But they're repairing, what seems to me they're doing is they're repairing the symptom, not repairing the underlying problem, because if the motherboard burned out 3 times, it's not the motherboard that's the problem, it's the thing that's burning it out that's the problem, and that's the issue that needs to be addressed. Just replacing the piece that's burning out 3 times, that, they didn't repair it in my mind. They fixed the end piece, not the cause. Is my thinking incorrect on that?
Well, none of us here are elevator experts, so in order to answer your question, I'd have to hire another elevator company to comment on that. I don't, this is something beyond us, Tony and I, to know if it's the motherboard or not. It could have been a bad shipment of motherboards.
All 3?
They come in groups, they buy them in, lots. So
Tony, you are an engineer, right?
Yeah, and sometimes parts are bad. I'm not,
That happens more often than you think.
Could just be a bad lot of,
So if they don't expend, are you saying extend the warranty on the whole elevator? Okay, I'm just curious. At a minimum, are they extending the warranty
On the latest
most
motherboard.
recent?
on the motherboard?
Yes.
I will send them an
At a minimum.
email.
I would say that they're in the business of maintaining your elevator. You don't have to have your elevator service through them. There's other people out there you can do it. So you're their customer. I would think it'd be in their interest to
Right. Take care of it.
reasonably, service you.
Tony, are you okay, or should the town send a letter to them?
I'll send an email and copy you, I don't
Okay,
mind.
no, I don't know if the town should say officially ask the question.
If they say no and you want to send something more official, feel free.
Bay State Elevator is a reputable company, so I do know that. I've been working with them for 35 years.
I mean,
That's fine.
come around October, they're gonna be looking to the chief to say, hey, do you wanna extend your service warranty or what? Either you do or you don't, it's up to you.
Okay.
All right, the fence, I'm assuming it's complete, because we gonna build.
There was one comment, though, that we had from a neighbor.
Which
It
fence
was
we
after,
talking
it was the neighbor, I believe it was the third house.
between the two houses, or the one on the?
It's
The
my
internal-
understanding that it was the third house, the one that we originally had been told that they were fine with not extending the fence.
Then they saw it and,
Yeah.
It looks nice. We need
So,
that.
looks nice.
I thought I had forwarded it to all of you. But, so I just wanted to, find out, has anybody heard anything else about that?
Well, I think what you actually moved the fence down, I'd say 4 feet towards her property to start, and left it 4 feet short on the other end,
On the front end.
to try to make her happy. And it wasn't really it's more like hey, while you're doing that, do you mind throwing a fence up? It wasn't more of that kind of letter than
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an angry tone
right,
to the email.
exactly, that's what I mean. And I don't know if everybody saw that,
That's
but
the third, that's the
third nose.
one at kind of the corner of
Yeah,
the street.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from those.
And the fence is up around the impound?
Yes,
Everything's
that's,
in place.
that one's up, the planning board impound fence in front of the fence.
I was told by Butch that everything's in place.
Okay. Good. And the thermostats?
I have been busting on the engineer to make that program change with the controls contractor. We are owed several manipulations and additions, tweaks with the controls contractor, so that's not an issue. She hasn't responded to my last 2 emails, so I don't know the status of that, but I'm going to give her a call tomorrow morning. I hope to find out today. But what the intent is through programming, resolve the issue of the interview room overheating. But right now, the issue is there's one thermostat covering 2 spaces. We try not to make every room a zone because it's too expensive. So we have one, and the location of that thermostat is such that it is in the hallway. Usually that's fine. The hallway is an interior space, and the interview is an interior space. It has no outside gain or loss due to temperature. But this hallway is open to the kitchen and the report writing area, which does have an outside wall. So that complicates things a little bit. But we're still trying to make it work because we didn't want to spend more money on more zones. And we think we can do it. So we've asked for a programming solution, and it's yet to be implemented.
And I have been going to the police station about every other week, and I have not heard a complaint about that room now in several weeks.
So it's either fixed or they're still working on it, one of the.
Yeah, I don't know the status.
Okay, so
I
we
think the
just-
balancing resolved it, or helped it.
That part of it, yeah, that part of it's done.
Maybe we can send an email to the chief and ask him how it is for the next meeting. Okay. All right. Anything else? Approval of invoices. There's CBA invoice number 5789, $2,593.79 related to site work issues.
So I can describe this, Anita?
Excuse me?
I can describe this?
This is the one that you sent along.
Okay. So basically, this is related to the contractor over excavating and kind of clear cutting the swale. And so because the contractor did not follow the contract requirements that said hand clear this swale, and he gave us a 30-foot bulldozed swale, he's had to go back and remediate that area, restore that area. Myself and the site designer had to go out there, design this remediation plan, grading and plantings and everything else. And so we've incurred, the designers have incurred extra costs because of the contractor's failure to follow the contract. So we basically advised the contractor, listen, you're going to pay for all this and you're going to pay for the designer's time. So all we can do, because we don't have a contract with the contractor, is ask you for additional services. We extended additional services that weren't necessary except for the contractor, and that we're asking for these additional services to get paid. We also recommend to you that you write a credit change order, credit change directive to the contractor, deducting that amount from his contract, so you're not out of pocket for it, he's out of pocket for it. This is the typical way you go about recovering costs when the contractor forces the designer to do other services.
You agree with that?
Yeah.
Contractor knows this is coming?
Yeah.
This is for the senior center, presumably?
This is for the senior center, is for the swale that they inadvertently enlarged.
Did he agree that it was his,
He's fixing it at his cost, yes.
okay, so he's on board?
Yeah,
Okay.
this should be a no cost to the town.
So we will send an invoice to them or something, or a credit memo, or how you do
So
that?
we need to have a proposed change order being put in place, which is a credit to the town for this value.
Okay.
What we'll do on the next change order we write, wherever the PCOs from the contractor are, we'll include a credit of this amount to offset your paying us.
All right,
When we say contractor here, we're talking RAC?
Yes, RAC. And RAC will back charge
Okay.
Salt Marsh.
all right, so hearing all that.
I'll make a motion to approve invoice number 5789 at $2,592.79.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. REC Builders invoice number 12, police station at $25,000. This is their last invoice, I believe.
Yes, it is. Final payment. So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
Is there any remaining balance, or is this the full amount of the contract?
This is the final payment.
Final payment.
No balance
Final
remaining.
retainage.
I mean, we still have the thermostat issue, we still have the berm issue. I'm assuming they're working on the senior center, they're not going to leave us high and dry on those.
True.
That's,
Yep.
Yeah, balance to finish is 0.
All in favor?
Can I just double check who moved and who seconded?
Pat?
Pat moved.
it. That'll-
I
Chris and I
seconded.
simultaneously.
Oh, no, this one here,
I didn't move
did.
that one.
I moved it, and
And I-
Siobhan seconded.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
wait a second.
That was the last one.
REC invoice number 2, senior center, 152181.
So moved?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Colliers International invoice number 21466 for
We have
18.
A revised amount on this. Tony gave us a revised invoice tonight. The amount is $18,769.87.
So it's cheaper.
Yeah.
New accounting had some reimbursables in there you shouldn't have
Okay.
seen or been invoiced.
So 18,000 what?
$18,769.87.
Let's leave a golf ball, some lunch, you know.
So moved.
Second?
Any other discussion on that?
One other discussion in there, there were some reimbursables in there, and it was 7 copies of drawings for the planning board, just so that you know.
That doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
7 copies?
To the tune of
Yes.
how much money?
$280-something plus markup, $336.
What is the Collier, I don't know if I missed a meeting, but Colliers International, what do they do for us?
We're not
Oh, that's
sure.
your new, that's your new. That's Tony?
We're not sure. Who are they? What are they?
No, I honestly, God, didn't know.
No, that's okay.
It's Colliers.
That's okay.
That's a good question. No, he has to be, it's Anthony, not Tony, when you say Collier.
Hi, I'm
God.
colleagues. Nice to meet you.
I take the
I'm like,
markup.
what name is that?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Project Dog invoice number 13206 at $1,608. This is for the send out.
Printing bid documents for the senior center.
Right.
Final payment.
Okay, a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Terracon invoice number TA 56074 at $6,847.56.
So they are the geotechnical engineer that comes out as the contractor is digging anything within the building footprint, anything underneath structural, needing to get down to bearing soil. They're out there monitoring the removal of the leftover building debris that's been coming out of the ground.
Now, this was the vendor that we previously had a vote of not to exceed $5,000.
We did, and as we encountered more material, the subcommittee approved an additional $5,000 knowing that we were hitting more material and we were exceeding our days in the field out there with a
And just
geotech.
so everybody knows, this is something that material left over from when the, what was it?
School.
Who did
School.
that?
The mixed building.
No, but who was the company? It was F&D or somebody.
F&D trucking.
Yeah, F&D when they.
Probably in the next couple weeks, now that the foundation is being backfilled, I'll pull all that together for the next meeting so that you have a number of Terracon, collier time, engineering time, soil removal, how much the volume was of brick, block, concrete, debris.
Some nice pictures.
So hopefully we can go after reimbursement.
Do you have a ballpark estimate at this point or not even?
I don't.
Okay, it's fine.
So the plan is we would go after them because they were supposed to take care of all
Have we
that.
looked at the contract yet?
Yeah, we reviewed that at the last meeting, and, you know, they were supposed to go down to clean soils, they were supposed to remove everything.
Right.
From the
So,
site.
at the last meeting, we talked about first, you know, contacting them, sending them a letter to see if we could get them to agree to compensate the town for costs. And if that didn't work, then we'd reconsider perhaps taking legal action against them.
Is it clear that the area where this is coming from would have been within the scope? I mean, we're building off to the side.
We're we're building at one end of it, and in the parking lot, yeah, we're finding it in the building footprint.
But within the scope of the document, as far as the area they were remediating,
Yes.
this is definitely included.
Yeah.
And there's no statute of limitations, it was 5 years ago type thing?
This was 4 years ago. I mean, you know, someone signed off on their work, unfortunately, and approved payment. So they received payment for what they did. But that doesn't mean that we can't try to go after them. I mean, Tony's
Breach of
documenting all
contract,
everything that's found.
At some point, legal will advise you, you know, here's what your costs are, here's what it's gonna cost me to try to chase this. What do you wanna do?
And there's no way the person that signed off on it would know that something was buried underneath the
Right.
ground.
Right.
So it's not like should we have dug it up and checked if there was something under the
Well,
ground?
if you didn't have anybody out there,
I mean,
Looking at it every,
There
And we
should have been
wouldn't.
somebody watching the work to see that there were still things being left in the ground, but obviously that didn't happen. So,
You didn't
you're right,
park.
if it was covered up and the guy, you know, said, look, I've just trucked off all this debris, the person would not know that there was still something remaining
Yeah,
in
we
the
didn't have a
ground.
clerk of the works or anything on the
well, I mean,
project.
then it wouldn't have been worth it, because what
Right.
we would have paid for the clerk as it
Right.
works is probably worth it just digging it out now today. I mean, I don't know,
You're
whatever, we'll have to put some
It's
numbers
history.
together, and I would say that, at that point, this goes in front of the Board of Selectmen now, it's not really
Tony, is
a
this-
building issue anymore, right?
I agree.
Yeah, I think this
Yeah.
should be a decision of the board.
Because we were involved in that whole project, not that.
Well, you may be hearing from the contractor, because he may be listening.
Is this petroleum issue part and parcel of that or not?
hard to say, but what else was there that would put a petroleum-based product in the building, right? Had an oil tank.
Outside the building.
Had boiler room. I don't know if there were tanks in the ground outside the building that got pulled. Was there a big diesel oil tank, diesel fuel tank on the side of the building that this was,
I was
you know,
told that there was.
residual spillage from when they fill it? I don't have any of that information. But somewhere in the proximity of the building, you had a giant slab, which we all assume the boilers were sitting on. And 20 feet away from that, you've got an area of petroleum-impacted soil.
Was there a driveway on the north side of the building when it was a mixture? Was there any kind of,
There were,
I got a satellite, but it's after the building, so it was removed.
Kind of like a
building was
half
here,
moon.
and there was a
Go
small
around it.
driveway right here.
Going around the back of the
This
building?
is- No, front, all front.
So there's
There was
there's
nothing
no
to
driveway in
go.
the back?
No,
Okay,
nothing.
so,
It was just a,
so in all the time you had, it was a school or an office building for the municipality, there was no reason for trucks to be parking on the north side of the building.
there was nothing like that.
So,
And there was no access out to that large paved area.
so it's,
The
there's a
basketball-
possibility that it occurred during the
The
construction
basketball,
period,
yeah, I mean, I guess
or demolition period.
the DPW years ago could have driven out there just drove on the grass.
Okay.
But there wasn't like a parking lot or anything.
Okay.
All right, so.
So do we have him put numbers aside?
That's a reach.
I know,
so many
it's a
years
reach, but do
later, so many years, I don't think any lawyer would tell you, you can't prove anything.
Do we put a separate line for those costs? And then we decide, the Board of Selectmen decides what we go after.
Let's try to delineate any cost that we think
Yeah, we'll
potentially.
get all the
could
costs
apply.
together so you
Make
can have a
that, make that one
conversation.
separate though than from the,
Yep.
from the original, from the.
In your experience, when you have things like this, does the original contractor usually end up having to pay up?
Only once did I see that actually happen, and it was because the town bought the property from a private entity who gave them a report from an LSP that said, hey, guess what, the site's all been cleaned and remediated, and here's a clean 21E, and you're all good, everything's great. And we hit about $300,000 worth of contamination. We had to design under slab ventilation systems for the building, and it was a mess. And that, they did prevail on. But at that rate, you're gonna get, 15 lawyers involved and go guns blazing, right?
So the chances are, when we tell this guy, you left all this stuff, chances are he's gonna say.
He's not showing up writing a check.
Well, we got this, they did the pool too,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so we could have the same issue with the
we're
pool.
gonna have the same issue with the pool. I mean,
Was it a demolition project?
Yeah.
It was under, it was kind of, it was a structure, pool,
Right.
but it was an above-ground structure. So there was a lot of, it's not like an underground pool.
Now you have an underground pool?
No, now we don't. Now
So,
we have.
I don't have any motion or seconding on the Tarragon invoice.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Trees Unlimited invoice date 5/19/2018, $1,225. That's for kind of the two dead trees down behind the police station. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in
These
favor?
massive trees?
Huh?
Were these massive
What
trees?
kind of
They were
trees?
big.
They were big, and they were,
I think $1,200 doesn't sound like massive
I know.
trees. I think that sounds
that
cheap,
was a good deal to do that.
because
Yeah.
it was close to a building, close to houses,
Right.
it seems like they might have done a lot
Right.
of work.
All right, has motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
In Yankee Engineering and Testing invoice number 24928 at $1,313.
Yankee is your testing company that makes all the cylinders of the concrete being placed in the foundation. They break the cylinders 7, 28, 56 days out and provide all the reporting that your concrete is meeting strength as designed.
And they also do the compaction when they're compacting soil.
So just a question, if they're doing it 7/28 and 56 days out, they do a 56-day out thing and it's,
They only do 56 days of the 28-day sales.
It's what they do, most of them in 7 days,
okay,
you know whether it's gonna meet or not.
so if the 7-day one is an issue, they tell them, stop what you're doing.
You
No.
would know.
No, at 7, they'll always do a 7 and 28. Usually at the 7, you'll find it 80, 90% of ultimate strength, and you'll know the 28-day will be fine. If it comes in low, and the 28-day comes in less than required, 3,000 pounds, 4,000 pounds compressive, then they'll have a 56-day test, just to see if there was enough to get it over.
And what happens if there's not?
If there isn't, then you talk to a structural engineer about what he's going to accept. It may be that 3,000 pounds wasn't necessary, you can let the contractor off the hook, get a pound of sweat out of them.
They usually don't tear the foundation out.
That's what I'm saying, like, it's,
No, but you look at it and determine what the strength needed to be. There's always safety factors involved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the Trees Unlimited, we all know is the police station.
Yep.
So it doesn't say that on this, but I'm
Right,
sure it'll be
yeah.
recorded that way.
Anybody else have anything?
I give a quick fundraiser report.
But there's one more
This
invoice.
one here?
The late
Patriot.
addition, the Patriot fence,
Okay.
invoice number 1877 for
Is that
$8,580.
the total job?
That is the job.
That's good, because that came in less than originally thought.
I don't remember.
It was like 10,000 something, was it? Or something like that. All right, so we have an invoice from Patriot Fence for $8,580.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion, all in favor?
Yeah, just a question, the residual balance you said is left on the police station, 32, included the assumption of this payment?
Yes, it had already subtracted the amount out for the fence.
Well, yeah, I don't remember, it was $343 a section, I don't remember what it was originally.
I thought it was like $10,000 original, but I could be wrong. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then,
That's all, yeah, that's police station.
other discussion. That's all for the police station, yep.
John, I see you after.
Sure.
Okay, Phil?
I've been appointed to the board of the Friends of the Council on Aging. It's a 501c3 organization. I'm to go on the board as the development officer. That's important because now we have the authority to really go out and be more aggressive and proactive with fundraising. All funds raised will go into the accounts of the Friends of the Council on Aging for disbursement to the Council on Aging per request. There will be designated funds, for example, the equipment for the wellness room. Somebody could give to that, $15,000 or something. Or the funds could be designated for the endowment. The endowment, Friends already have something on the order of $40,000 or $50,000 with Worcester Foundation. You know, they pool money together for various nonprofit organizations in Worcester County. So now we're at the point where I can go back to Stephen's vision and we'll approach George Sihojos and see if he'll be our honorary chairman and sign letters for us. And we can process the grants that were written by Theo to Cumberland Farms, Walmart. What were the others, Needy? You remember off the top of your head?
I don't remember the names of the foundations.
But there were 3 or 4 of them, and we'll use those as templates. Lisa is developing a list of packages, for example, the equipment in the wellness room.
The wellness room is an office, right?
Well, yeah, but, okay, so.
It's just a desk and
equipment, whatever. What we're trying to do is to break down packages so people have a specific thing to give to. And Jane Ryan has just completed a research study of planned giving. She researched senior centers and community centers and libraries, et cetera, all around the country. And we're building a case for support for planned giving, people living it in their wills. By the way, I plan to leave the senior center in my will. Gene and I have already discussed it. I hope everybody at this table will think about it. So we'll develop a case for that. There'll be a pamphlet on the table in the new senior center. We'll have a solicitation campaign, hopefully, well, not hopefully, must be discreet and positive. And that's basically where we are at this point. Still planning an auction with a gala at the grand opening of the senior center, and we will schedule it obviously when we have a certain date, certain of when it will be completed.
So none of this fundraising is going to the construction of the senior center?
No.
That's correct. And mainly because it doesn't make sense, because we can borrow money cheaply, net present value of that money, etc. My meeting with Tom Bartholomew, he was very persuasive on that, saying that it doesn't make sense to raise money for the bond, and I don't think it would be responded to in particularly well. The best we can determine, and I think it's right, is that we need to come up with these packages of specific things that they can, people can designate that they want to fund, and we can put a little plaque on the door or whatever.
Just outside the building.
Appropriate.
That would reduce cost.
We're FF&E.
Well,
because that stuff,
the point is this: we're not raising money specifically to reduce the bond. we're raising money for specific projects, right, which may reduce the bond.
Because we told the residents when we did all our information meetings that there is a fundraising group getting together to help reduce the cost of this building.
Right,
So
because
this would be another way to cut down the cost.
Right.
And we had positive feedback from them.
But I think what Phil's, I want to make sure I'm hearing you right. What you're saying is you're not going to be going out and saying, hey, the building's done, give us $20,000 to pay off the debt.
Yes.
You're going to be saying, hey, we're building the building, give us $20,000 to sponsor this room, or whatever.
So we don't have to buy the furniture for that.
Right, yeah.
So we're just gonna reduce the cost.
Get same place,
incidentally,
different sales tactic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reduces the bond, because if we don't do that to the end anyway, so,
I was approached by Rick Mansfield. Have you talked to him at all?
no,
From Holden. He owns Miles Funeral Home.
yeah.
He would be worth a phone call. I know Rick.
Oh, I probably met Rick at
When you see,
funerals.
right. But he was very involved in Holden, and they raised tons of money, so.
Thank you very much. That's exactly the kind of thing
Right.
that we're looking for. Now I have Barbara DeShane, Jane Ryan, Denise, nephew, and a couple others on my sort of little steering group that were, soliciting people, organizing people, so.
Well, they might donate. I know
Yes.
they were very involved in the Holden one.
You all set, Phil?
And I've met with Cindy Stark at Holden Friends, who was very helpful on how they do things, and we're incorporating that kind of stuff. Huh?
Use my name when you call Rick.
I will, yes.
All right, anything else, anybody?
Yes, stained glass.
Yes. All right, so, go ahead.
Well, all I can say is I got a call from a gentleman who wanted me to come and look at some stained glass. It's in a barn on Prospect Street. I think his last name might have been Franchi. I don't know. I haven't returned his call. I discussed it with John. I didn't know how you wanted to approach. I presume this is the same stained glass that came out of the church?
Masonic?
That we talked about a few months ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, this is the first day.
I would suggest that if it's an option, someone on the committee take a look at it, take some photographs of it, and determine whether or not it's something you want to be hung or displayed in your senior center.
It's important, it would not be an integral part of the
No, no.
construction, it would be simply decorative.
Yeah. And then what sizes and what pieces you might want, or how much it might cost to repair it, because it might not be in the best of condition today. So, how much would you want to invest in that? I think it's really a decision,
Is he looking to donate or looking to sell?
I do not know if he has possession of it, if he bought it or owns it. I don't know what you did with your town property. Or actually, it was church property, so actually it was never owned by the town, right?
I don't think we bought
Well,
them. Chris, do you
right
remember?
now, the lot Masons, Chris, this is the
Masons.
Masonic Lodge owns a whole bunch of stained glass. They had come before the Community Preservation Committee, probably about 5 years ago, maybe more. We gave them a grant, they didn't use it, and they turned it back.
Okay.
And I haven't heard anything, so it's probably more than 5 years ago. I gotta assume it's the same stained glass, and some of it was in great shape, and some of it was in very, very poor shape, so.
Didn't it come from the Old Stone Church originally, and then
Chris,
it
do you
was
remember?
moved?
That's
That's what I
Well, I
thought.
thought the big grant was for the main window.
That was part, no, but there was.
It was all their windows in
All
their
the
building,
Right.
not stuff in someone's cellar.
No, it was the
Right, but-
windows.
But
that
they were saying they were gonna take, I haven't looked, they said they were gonna take them out of that building because they were no longer, they were gonna get ruined. I assume it's the same stained glass, there's not,
So we
could be
need to
wrong.
Well,
investigate.
let's put it,
Is there a
Can't the
desire
subcommittee-
for you to put stained glass in the building? Is there a familiar type, or some kind of historical opinion to these pieces that it would be appreciated at the senior center?
Yeah, I think that's
I think so.
a key kind of differential. Sort of general stained glass, or is there some significant thing that we want to memorialize as a result of putting this
Yes.
artwork?
So who from the committee would like this person's contact information?
I think I
Take
think
this on as a little
at first
project.
glance, I think the cost of making something to hang up on the wall will probably be a lot more
Well,
than just.
I don't know what it takes to restore. I mean, it could take a lot.
I know, we know what it takes.
It's a lot.
It takes a lot of money and a lot of time.
Could
Well,
this be
then-
something that the Friends could take on as a
Well,
project?
actually, I think back to community preservation, this would be something that could be funded that way because it's, I'm not sure the seniors fall within your purview.
Yeah, but to-
I
to-
don't know if this
To
is
fix
something
the
the
stained
Friends
glass
could-
to hang up on a wall?
If it's, I mean, if it's of historic significance to the
This
town, the answer would be yes. If it's the same stained glass that came out of the old stone
You
church.
should ask the Historical Society what they know about it, because what if, we don't know if.
It's also important, that the last time we had this discussion, Lisa was here, right? And she mentioned that she didn't think there were many wall spaces of a sufficient area to accommodate.
Well,
Nothing large enough for the nice big, the biggest window, the nice half round or round window. We couldn't fit that. I thought if we had the stained glass, depending upon what size this is, you could hang it in front of the window and actually get the light through it, which might be benefit.
nice.
But a stained glass against an opaque wall isn't
Yeah.
very interesting.
well, let's put
You'd have to
this,
backlight it.
Right, and so more
let's put
cost.
this off to the next meeting, see if anybody can come up with, somebody that knows what first of all, you gotta have somebody who knows what they're looking at.
Okay.
Well, I'd be willing to go take a look at it, take some pictures.
I gave John the contact information. You have that, right?
And then maybe we can reach out to,
Email to me?
Yes, I did.
do you want to reach out to the Historical Society too and just ask them if they know anything about this?
Well, I'm gonna take a look at it first. If it's in crap condition, I don't know that we really wanna create a project.
If I have that email, I will forward it to you.
And they're
Call the guy, and he may be able to tell you.
Why don't we just say,
where
John,
it's
can you
from.
re-forward that information to Ray?
Sure.
All right.
When you talk about a big window in the senior center, what are you talking about, the multipurpose room? John?
That would be, that might be the best. There's
But I don't
very
think-
little wall space, some
Aren't you
hallways.
gonna preclude any kind of staging area there if you put that
Oh,
up?
no, depending upon which wall, it could be on the east wall, between windows or something.
All right, so we'll wait to hear from Ray on that. Anything else we need to discuss?
Next meeting?
Next meeting,
adjourn?
So it'd be the second Wednesday of
Second.
July, which I believe is the 11th. Can someone check that?
Raj,
It is the
yes,
11th.
I just-
Please, a Wednesday?
Not a Tuesday.
You can't do it Tuesday?
No.
Raj asked if we could move the meetings to Tuesday because it interferes with his planning board meetings.
We do have a little bit of conflict over there.
And you've got
It's a
conflict
different,
on
yeah, new,
Tuesdays.
we have a new member. So the new member,
Can we go with Thursdays?
I'm not, I mean,
Monday.
again, I've told Raj my thought on this, and I'm not saying it, Raj, that personally, it's always been Wednesday for as long as we've done it. I know the board members all know that Wednesdays are given up for selectmen meetings, but I have no problem if it wants to be changed. But it's been Wednesday for, I don't know.
Since
10
we
years.
started, since we started.
Too many
But
years
it-
to count.
But if the board wants to change it, then people,
I have no objection to Tuesdays.
Phil can't do Tuesdays.
What, Tuesday?
You can't
I will
do
not
Tuesdays.
attend.
Tuesday. So then we either go back to Wednesdays or take a Monday or a Thursday. I don't know. Wasn't it always the last Wednesday of the month, or am I getting
It
confused?
used to be the last Wednesday, now we
Right.
moved to the second Wednesday to
Second
pay the
Wednesday.
invoices. We pay
Okay,
the invoices.
So invoices that come in at the end
Right.
of the month, we kind of get them on the
Don't
docket.
make it about me, you
Well,
know,
it's important.
because I've got enough on my plate, I don't need to be on this committee.
It's important that we have everybody.
oh, well, look at us, we're not getting it,
We
we,
just,
we-
we
yeah, we
can't
just
get
made,
more.
barely had a quorum,
so we can't
We-
schedule around people that can't.
Right.
Raj, can they change the planning? Is it the planning board?
no, they, Melanie has a conflict, the secretary. She has to go to the Boylston. So none of the things works. That will be the easy one, So
She
we
goes
have,
to Boylston the other 4 days a week?
no, she said, she cannot, she does works in a different towns. And we did try to change it, yeah. Yeah, it's okay, I won't be coming to the Fisp, that's it.
Can you do like every other month or something?
We'll see, yeah. But I
Well,
think
let's
it-
leave next Wednesday
If
for
it is
now, and then
Wednesdays,
we'll talk about what we can do.
When is it
Second.
gonna be?
The second Wednesday,
So we're doing July 11th at 7 o'clock.
is that the second Wednesday?
Yes.
Yeah.
July 11th, 7 o'clock.
Now, I may not be there, can other people be there that night?
I can be there that night.
Yeah,
Everybody away on vacation?
That's what I mean, now we're starting getting into July.
I'm available that day.
Yeah, I'm good that day.
Good.
And are we look,
Phil?
I'm set.
are we looking into the members that haven't been, you're gonna reach out to
Kate
Kate.
Ivers.
because she may not, she
I've asked her whether
clearly
she-
said,
I've asked her whether she intends to continue on with this, and I haven't received an answer yet.
Okay, so we'll pick that up in the next meeting too. All right, any discussion?
motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you.